Yeah. Hair flip, yeah, I'm a badass bitch. I don't like it. Hair flip, yeah. Oh my god. So you guys should be happy. Oh my goodness. Hair flip. But anyways, hair flip. And hair flipping on these hoes. Hi.
Brian McKnight. Brian Kelly McKnight, born June 5th, 1969, is an American singer, songwriter, actor, record producer, and multi-instrumentalist. McKnight is most recognized for his strong falsetto and belting range. His work has earned him 16 Grammy nominations, third to Zubin Mehta and Snoop Dogg for the record of most Grammy nominations without a win. McKnight was born in Buffalo, New York, to Claude McKnight Jr. and Ruth Elaine Willis. His musical career began in his childhood when he became a member of his church choir. In the 1990s, McKnight's older brother Claude McKnight III and his band Take Six signed a record deal with Warner Brothers. This encouraged McKnight to shop his own demo tapes, and by the age of 19, he signed his first recording deal. A lot of people to sing, including people of all races, shapes, sizes, all that good stuff, including a very famous singer that a lot of people don't know was inspired by Brian McKnight himself. Let's get into him.
Like a dream come true, too. I just want to be with you, three. Girl, it's plain to see that you're the only one for me. And four, repeat steps 1 through 3. 5, make you fall in love with me. Forever I believe my work is done. And I started back at 1. Yeah, 1. Make a dream come true. 2, just wanna be with you. 3, girl, it's plain to see that you're the only one for me. And 4, make you fall in love with me. 5, you're done, no. Forget the words.
Have you ever felt what it feels like to be walking on clouds? Without a doubt, supposed to be. Have you ever felt that you could be living in a dream? Maybe a fantasy, so sure that it's make-believe. You know what I mean? Let me see you throw your hands up, 'cause you know that you got someone and you want everyone to know it. You're not afraid to show what you're feeling deep inside. Now go ahead and scream and shout, let it all out and don't hold nothing back. Go ahead and react to how you're feeling deep inside. Throw your hands in the air if you know that you're in love, love, love. 'Cause you know that you're in love, love, love. 'Cause you know that you're in love, love, love. You're in love, love, yeah.
Well, my two boys, BJ is my oldest, Brian Jr., and Nico, his younger brother, they have sort of a rock, pop, R&B sort of hybrid that they do together that everyone here in London and actually all over the world now, I've taken them everywhere I've gone for the last 2 years, have seen what's about to happen, and that's their CD that will be released later on this year.
What can we expect from your album?
Everything, a lot of stuff, everything. If there's a certain genre of music you'd like to hear, we've got it.
They do all the music themselves. I'm just here to sort of be the executive producer. I'm the most proudest dad on the planet Earth.
And you seem to have a really healthy, fun relationship with them, like with your stage interactions. So what kind of advice have you given them in terms of tackling the industry?
Tips. Never say can't. Never say can't.
And tips?
Always give 110%.
Always. Always.
Make sure your fly is closed.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. You know, the normal dads.
Brian McKnight denies claims that porn star was raped at his home. The singer confirms that the allegation was made, but insists it was thoroughly investigated by police who did not arrest the man accused. The allegation became public when the website Media Takeout reported that the porn star Elena Evans has posted on her Twitter page that she's been raped by a man at McKnight's home in 2008, and that the singer's 2 teenage sons had been at his house. We take the accusations made by Miss Evans very seriously, McKnight says in a statement to Radar Online. I was made aware of a party at my house in my absence in December of 2008. I was in New York City, and both my boys, ages 15 and 17 at the time, were at the house with some friends. I can confirm that Miss Evans was in fact at the house, as I discovered she provided some of the liquor. Being as I was not at home at the time, I cannot speak absolutely regarding all the events of the evening. However, my sons did inform me that due to Miss Evans' level of intoxication, that they placed her alone in a bedroom so she could sleep it off. The next morning, Miss Evans stayed and socialized at the house until approximately 2 p.m. Evans says the man who raped her is Nicholas Hayes, and McKnight acknowledges that allegation. 2 days after the party, Miss Evans contacted the LAPD, McKnight continued in a statement. The police came to the house and questioned my entire family and Mr. Hayes with the full cooperation of the McKnight family. Mr. Hayes retained a lawyer and cooperated in a month-long investigation. The police concluded that no rape had occurred and no charges were ever filed. This information is all part of the official police report. Rape is a very serious matter and not something we take lightly. I truly hope that Miss Evans was not discriminated by police because of her profession. I believe that the police concluded simply that no crime had taken place. That being said, if I ever had knowledge of such vile and reprehensive act by anyone, whether they were friends or family, I would never work to protect that person. The statement that Mr. Hayes has been banned from my home is not true. He signs off with thank you, Brian Jr., and Nico McKnight.
Till you found the joke was on me, looking out on the rest of our lives. If we're gonna be together or apart, or about the only way that I know how to love is right straight from my heart. I've been around, but now I found that you're the only one for me. You say you'll never, never, never fall again. You won't subject yourself to such pain, no. But if you give me every chance I win, I'd never leave you standing out in the rain. But if you think that I could look you in the face and lie right through my teeth, then turn around and walk away. But cross my heart, girl, I can't.
So I'm not saying that, you know, anything happened, but I will say this. I do find it very odd that your 15 and 17-year-old son were hanging out with an adult porn star in your home who brought alcohol and got them drunk and whatnot. So for that to have, her charges should have been brought up on her. Long story short, I don't understand how it's okay for an adult woman to come around minor men and give them alcohol and not have any adult available besides her, with other friends that were there that were also underage. It just doesn't make sense. I'm definitely side-eyeing this situation, because why is a porn star at your home, and why were you okay with that when your children are children? They're still teenagers. You know, these aren't adults. So Brian, I don't know, bro, but I'm definitely side-eyeing you for this situation.
Saw this, but Brian McKnight got real personal about a situation with his children.
Yeah.
Yes.
After his children called him out for being a neglectful father. Wow. So his kids called him out.
Went online.
They went online. His son and
his
then
daughter. He got online.
Had to defend himself.
Many people were critical, saying Brian McKnight shouldn't have done that. Like, don't play it out on social media. But Brian McKnight really felt like he had to do that. I have a clip of what Brian McKnight said.
Hey guys, it's Brian McKnight here. I've been traveling about 17 hours to Guam. I have a concert tonight, and I got off the plane to some of the most heinous craziness I've ever seen in my life. That my oldest son, Brian, would post that I'm abandoning my children. And the reason why, I suppose, is because I have a new family. And I guess this stems from a post that I made the other day about my son, Jack, who I'm very proud of, which isn't to say I'm not and haven't been proud of my other children, but I was proud of this one for the things that he did that day. But we'll get back to that in a second. Anyone who knows me knows over the last 20 years, 30 years now, as a matter of fact, that I've been there for my children every step of the way. Until recently. And let's be clear, my two sons are 30 and 27. Not 12, not 13, but 30 and 27. Now my daughter's about to turn 18. That's another story I'll get to in a second. I've never missed a day of child support. I've never done anything adverse to my children whatsoever. I've always been there. I've always been there with advice, whether they took it or not. I've always been the sounding board, and I've always been the one that tried to help them achieve whatever dreams they were wanting to reach out for. I guess one of my only faults is I gave my children everything that I didn't have in the hopes that they would appreciate it, because I know how much I would have appreciated it when I was their age. I would tell you, as parents out there, entitling your children is probably one of the worst things you can do, and I know I am guilty of that. For whatever reasons, I'm guilty of that. Tough love is a tough thing as a parent to try to institute to your children, because you want to help them as much as you can, and I did as much as I possibly could. When I stopped doing that for them, BJ was 25 and Nico was 22. And it wasn't like I completely cut them off at that point. That happened much later. But I've been there. When I put them out of my house, I gave them an apartment for 2 years. And I said, guys, this is it. This is the time to grow up. I'm giving you 2 years. I'm going to pay for everything for 2 years, but you're going to have to work or do something, because at the end of those 2 years, that's going to be it. It's time to be men here, guys. It's time to grow up. At the end of those 2 years, they hadn't done any of it. It was just right around the time that Leilani and I had gotten together. Leilani was working at Children's Hospital. And let's be clear, Leilani has been one of the only people who's been an advocate to keeping us together, to keeping us having a relationship, because she wants to have the nuclear family as much as I did. And they have spit in her face at every turn. She got them jobs at the hospital, $18 an hour with benefits and with the option of the hospital actually paying for them to go back to school. They said, and I quote, that they knew they didn't want to stop smoking and they would have to pass a drug test. And the day I had the doctors looking into it, Nico's on there, you know, taking a big puff, which is fine. If you want to smoke, that's fine. I'm not saying that that's bad. If that's your choice, that's your choice. But what I'm telling you is that we have been advocates for them every step of the way. Now let's go to the part where we have been estranged. Again, we talk about abandonment. I'm not abandoning them. We are estranged, which happens more often than not in this particular situation. BJ broke into our home a few months ago and he put X's on the eyes of our wedding photos. And then he put a photo of my first wedding on Leilani's vanity. It was at that moment, and after I heard him say, and was pointed to from other friends of mine that saw his posts on social media, that he basically said that I was better off dead to him than alive. I was more valuable to him dead than alive. And that was the end of me dealing with him. If you look at my Instagram, you'll see that not my last video, but the video before that, 42, the song was written by Brian and I, and it was directed, the video, by Nico. And I went on and I said how proud I was of Nico at the time, and I really, really was. He did an awesome job in that video. Even before that, less than 2 years ago, these are the two gentlemen who stood up for me as my best man in my wedding. So abandonment, deadbeat dad, I'll reiterate, I've never missed a day of child support. I've been there every step of the way. BJ, he talks about Jack's new car. BJ had 3 brand new cars before he was 22. But I'm not talking about material things, because none of this has anything to do with money. It's about respect. Respect goes both ways. And even in family, there's a line that shouldn't and should not ever be crossed. It's crazy to me that people will just believe anything, and I thought it was important to set the record straight and let you guys know that abandonment has nothing to do with any of this. Deadbeat dad, I've been there every step of the way. And let's also remember that these kids are 30 and 27, not 12. It's time for grown men to be grown men. And I'm sorry that tough love happens to be this way. And I do wish them the best. I want them to have and to reach their dreams and their full potential, but like any other man in the world, you got to go out there and you got to take it. As far as my daughter is concerned, you know, her mother, if you look back at my Instagram, she was a part of this family too, with Jack and Julie and Leilani and myself. And unfortunately, along the way, a couple years ago, I got wind that there was an older cousin who was above 18 who was quite possibly having sex with her. So I called, as a father should, to the state office for children's affairs there in Arizona, and I never heard anything back. But the next thing that her mother did was to block all of us from her social media, from her phone, and completely estranged her from us. So what that told me was they didn't want me to be involved in her life that way. So to see the post that she said, considering that her mother only had a child with me for money in the first place, and I'll reiterate this, I have not missed a child support payment. She goes to one of the most incredible private schools in Arizona. So I don't know where this is all coming from, but I thought that I needed to let everybody know that there's another side to this story. You can choose to believe what you want. I thought that I would lay it out there for you. Anything that I say is actual and factual. All you have to do is Google Brian McKnight and Sons, and you'll see us singing all over YouTube. Go back and look at my Instagram. Go back a couple of years. You'll see that I posted about all of my children. But remember that these kids, these boys, they're grown men, and tough love is exactly what it is. It's tough love. So thank
after his kids accused him of abandoning them. The R&B hitmaker told his side of the story in a 7-minute video posted to Instagram. Fans were shocked a few days ago when Brian's sons, Brian BJ McKnight Jr., 30, and daughter Brianna McKnight, 17, accused the singer on their respective Instagram pages of being a deadbeat dad. BJ, his 27-year-old brother Nico, and Brianna are Brian's children from his previous marriage to Julie McKnight, whom he divorced in 2003. The singer married his present wife, Leilani, in 2017.
something I swore I would never do again. But I found the right girl, y'all. When it's right, it's right, baby. I love you with all my heart. I would like to spend the rest of my life with you. I didn't hear you. What'd you say tonight?
Yes.
According to BJ, their father abandoned them all and paid no attention when they could not sustain the same lifestyle he introduced to them. BJ's quote, "I don't think there is any situation that merits the way my father has chosen to treat my brother, my sisters, and his grandchildren, one of which being his firstborn son, who also bears our name. It's insane to me to absolutely have no empathy for the type of life be introduced to us, only to become to resent us for that life catching up with us. It breaks my heart, but not for myself, specifically for my siblings and my children."
This song that we all know and love very well, and hopefully it'll have no meaning for you as well. Yeah, right? Yeah. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and broad stars through the perilous fight, all the ramparts we lost were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sweet does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, in the home of the
McKnight. Brianna said she has never been daddy's little girl, always taken second, third, fourth, or fifth place in Brian's heart. The teenager also thanked her brothers for stepping up and being the father figure in her life. Wasting no time, Brian addressed the accusations in a now deleted video captured by part of the Shade Room and others.
It's undeniable that we should be together. It's unbelievable how I used to say that I'd fall never. The basis is need to know. If you don't know just how I feel, then let me show you now that I'm for real. If all things in time, time will reveal. Everyone in the house say one. You're like a dream come true too. Just wanna be with you, the real. And girl, it's plain to see that you're the only one for me. And 4 repeat steps 1 through 3, 5 make you fall in love. then I start back at one.
With all that has been said, Brian pushes this narrative that he wanted his older boys, the ones that are adults, over 20, 30, years old, to get it together and create incomes for themselves, to get their own jobs and be grown men. Here's the problem with that. Brian, you spoiled your children financially because you are not there physically. You can't spoil someone with a finance and expect them to be able to go out and gain their own if you never taught them that. That's why it sucks to be an absent parent. Because when you are absent, the things that you can instill in your child to say that you know better, you cannot state those things when the majority of your time is being spent on the road, in the studios, on stages, and elsewhere. The mothers are the one that fall into that bracket to be responsible to make sure that their children are well-rounded individuals when it's not necessarily easily done alone. So you can't force somebody to go out there and be an adult if you never taught them how to adult. You are expecting something of them because they are at a certain age. If you did not instill those values to make someone work hard and be a hard worker, no matter what they're doing, whether it's welcome to McDonald's, can I take your order please? Or if it's them being in a studio or them owning their own business, they need to be taught and act right in order to act right. So I do fault Brian McKnight for his children not being able to be, grown people, to where they can take care of their own bills and all of those things on their own when they are so used to handouts. You do tough love at a young age. So before they become adults, you know that, they know, I should say, that you expect them to be adults. You cannot force somebody that has been spoiled by you, especially to when they hit a certain age, 18, 19, 20, whatever, to be like, no, you're an adult. It doesn't work that way. In order to do better, you have to know better. And unfortunately, Brian, you didn't teach them anything. You didn't teach them enough to where they could be successful adults on their own because adults trained them that way. I do not fault the mothers because there's only so much that they can do. A woman cannot teach a man how to be a man. That was Brian's responsibility. Instead of putting your career above your children and putting your new families that you get after you decide to walk away from the families that you created prior, it's not an excuse. They do not have to just deal with the fact that you are bringing new people in their lives if you are not merging them. You have to help the new family get to know the old one. You didn't do those things. You skipped steps. If you're not already taking care of your children physically, then why do you feel like they're just going to be so open to this new family that you're bringing in if you're not giving both families the same energy? You merge families. You don't create a new family and get rid of the old. You bring them all together.
That's all right, because you are witnessing the reunion of the McKnight brothers. We started singing together probably by the time I was 6.
107 years ago.
107 years ago. So it's the first time we've sung together in quite some time. But my brother Fred here has a new show called Undiscovered Live, and we decided to do a little theme song for the show. If he'd stop moving, because I told his behind not to move. Stand right there, Freddie boy. All right, let's do this. Undiscovered Live. Boom. Let's do it the way we used to, like Granddad. Back in the day. Okay, ready? Here we go. Undiscovered life.
Always happy to see you here in the Philippines.
Happy to see you as well. Great, always great to be back.
Okay. Can you explain your love for the Philippines?
Well, I guess now it starts with my wife and her family. You know, being married to a Filipina is a fantastic thing. My love for Filipino food has gone through the roof, and just so much adobo. Mama, you gotta have some of Mama's adobo. But getting back to the subject, it's just the love. There's so much love here, so many people, as you meet them and you come back year after year after year, and you see how much they love you and how much love they bestow upon you, how much, now through social media, even when you're not here, they're constantly telling you how much they love you, and
That's right.
there's so much heartfelt love for the kind of music that I do. And it just tells you that the Filipino folks love songs, man. It's great.
And I think you're quite aware that your songs are in the playlist of
Yes.
Filipino couples.
yes, all the weddings and birthdays and everything. It's great.
Are you surprised?
I would say I'm surprised 'cause it's been happening for so long, but I'm still surprised that it still happens. With so much music out there, there's more music in the world now than there's ever been, that they're still going back to my music that, has frankly been around now almost 30 years. That's the surprising part. It's truly amazing. I'm so grateful that that's the case.
And I'm glad that I was there 30 years ago, or 25 years ago.
Well, yeah, 26, almost 27, yeah.
Okay. So you have a show in Cebu?
In Cebu on Wednesday, and then here at the Solaire tomorrow.
Okay.
And, a little different because I'm all by myself. So this is my sort of singer-songwriter show.
Okay.
There's no band, there's no, I play and I...
Brian McKnight is the gay R&B mystery man. During a recent interview, a transvestite claimed to have a relationship with Brian McKnight. The he/she says that allegedly R. Kelly introduced her, who at the time was a gay man, to Brian. Brian started dating he/she 5 years ago, and Brian got him into the whole transsexual thing. Brian paid for all the work that the gay man has done. He/she was very interested in doing it, but claims that he/she fell for him, I guess. And when he was romantic and trusted him and did it, but she does not want to get the full sex change and cut off her penis. He/she alleges that someone from Brian's camp contacted her last Thursday, and apparently R. Kelly is giving her the cold shoulder now. He/she is assuming because she went public with the story. He/she says that the public is going to know soon about the whole little camp because her story is not the only one.